Greetings. My name is Antaeus Reese, and this is going to be my intro video for the Not Work. I'm 23, about to turn 24. Right now, I don't have a job right now. I'm still looking, which is kind of a pain in the ass, to say the least. Let's see. I was born in Chicago, Illinois, August 29th, 1989. I am the first child of my mother and father. I have a stepbrother and two stepsisters from my mom and my dad's earlier marriages. And I'm the oldest out of four, out of three. My two brothers, Ian and Evan, and my other sister Daisy, who's a year younger than me. I lived in Chicago for only about 5 years of my life. I ended up coming down here to Florida at the age of 5, sometime around in the summer, and I've lived around here ever since. I've met a lot of people who have had a significant impact in my life here. But if somebody were to ask me, do I like the state? That's a definite hell no. This place sucks. It's hot, humid, and generally speaking, there are a lot of assholes around here. A lot of closed-minded assholes, as a matter of fact. But about the time that I turned about 10, not about 10, about 7, I started going to public school. And I was quite a whiny little bastard when I was a child. I hated losing when it came to competitions and sports and whatnot. I would always just throw a bitch fit and just whine, bitch, moan, and complain. All in all, I was a socially awkward kid throughout most of my life, even up to about high school. After I graduated the 5th grade, though, I ended up going to a Christian private school because my mom thought that it would be a better environment for me to, learn about God and whatnot, and, I can also get an education to boot. That really wasn't the case. I rarely did any of my work. I acted out. I would always get called into the pastor's office every other week. And generally, it was not a fun experience for me. I met a few friends there that I really don't talk to anymore. So that's how it goes sometimes. I soon transferred to another school in Hollister, Florida. It was another private school where I went for my 7th and 8th grade year. And at the end of my 8th grade year, I ended up getting kicked out. Needless to say, because I ended up getting written up so many times, it was hilarious. I could probably tell you a bunch of stories about that. People in Christian schools are crazy, to say the least. I couldn't even bring a Beyblade into school, and if you don't know what those things are, then I don't blame you, because they're kind of old, but I think they still sell them around Walmart. But I used to play it back in the day, and when I brought it over to the school, the pastor came up to me and asked, well, what's the thing in the middle? The little creature. I explained to him what the fuck it was. It's a bit beast. That's what they call him in the show. I got called into his office about 20 minutes after that, told me that I couldn't bring him in anymore. That wasn't even the icing on the cake. Apparently he also looked it up, but he spelled the name wrong, but I didn't want to tell them this because, you can only tell stupid people that they're stupid for so long before they just don't even care anymore. He went up on a pornography website, and he ended up finding women who literally fitted blades into their skin. It was called Babe Blades, is what it was referred to. And so he had it in his mind, and that's what we were playing. So I pretty much just thought in my mind that this motherfucker's just going to burn in hell for all eternity because no one this stupid should be walking the face of this fucking planet. So needless to say, I ended up getting kicked out, and I go to a public high school, and it was a radical change for me. A radical change, just how people acted, how people talked to one another, social groups, social cliques. I mean, all of it was definitely an eye-opener. That's where I started kind of coming out of my shell within a certain degree. And I started becoming more social. I actually started to ask questions about myself and about my beliefs and whatnot. I asked, why do I believe in God? I asked a plethora of questions of, like, do I really like the way I dress, the way I look, and whatnot? Not just for myself, but for the other people around me. For the most part, soon after I graduated, I ended up moving into Orlando with my sister, which was pretty fucking rough for the most part. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love my sister as a sister, but as a caretaker, she sucked ass. And if you ever watch this, I do love you with all my heart, but you were a bitch. And you put me through hell. But I didn't even mention anything about my family. As soon as after I graduated, I mean to backtrack a little bit, but my mom ended up moving out. She ended up going up to Chicago, and we were supposed to go with her. I don't know how the hell we were gonna get there. We were probably gonna ride on, rainbows and dust clouds or some shit. But yeah, so she pretty much left, and she's been gone for 7 years. And shit happens. Doesn't really. I mean, it does affect me within reason. It affects, how, just about my mindset of her. I mean, I still think of her as my mother, but when I think about how much I care about her, that's where problems started rising, to say the least. But anyway, what was I on? Oh yeah, I was talking about I was talking about my time in Orlando. Yeah, so needless to say, it was very boring. I lived out in the boonies in Orlando, and there was nothing to fucking do, nothing. And the friends that I made out there were complete and utter douchebags. So I just waited my time until me and my sister got into a really big fight, and I didn't fight back against her because, well, I never really have. I just never really wanted to hit her or to just lose control, because I knew if I did, I'd probably be in jail right now. But my dad ended up having to come and get me. We went back down to Interlochen, and he ended up getting a place for us to live. And I was reunited with a lot of my old friends. That's why I first started drinking. That's why I first started smoking cigarettes, just because of everything that happened prior. And needless to say, it's kind of been an eye-opener for me. Just going through my life and whatnot, just learning the things that I've learned and experiencing the things that I've have taken witness to. For religious preferences, I was raised Baptist loosely, kind of, throughout the age of 10 and on. My parents weren't all that religious at all when they were in Chicago. Mainly they were drug addicts for the most part. But they ended up having to move down to Florida to get away from it all because, apparently, if you want to move down to a place where you don't want drugs to be affiliated with your family, you move to Interlochen. Even though about 70% of drugs that, resonate within the entire, South actually go pass through that fucking town, apparently, which is hilarious. But, yeah. But after that, they ended up, after they moved down to Interlochen, they ended up, finding God when I was the age of 10. I started going to church. I never really liked going to church, in all honesty. It was, my dad likes to think that I was actually into it, but in all honesty, it was just a front. It was just a front for me to fit in, because I didn't feel like getting into any arguments or whatnot with my father and mother. I just steered away from all that shit. I didn't feel like causing any trouble. I just did as I was told, to within reason. But as soon as after I came back from Orlando, I just stopped believing. I just didn't care anymore. And I just started asking questions about myself. Why do I believe in God? I just pretty much just asked the big important questions, is essentially what I did. And I came up with a reasonable conclusion that I just don't believe that there is a God at all. And that I think it's kind of arbitrary for people to still cling on to it, because it's up to you whether or not how you want to live your life. You shouldn't You shouldn't put all your problems, and you shouldn't make decisions based on an invisible person at all. That is in no way you taking responsibility for any actions you partake in, any decisions that you make, and how they affect other people. Your actions are solely based on you, and that's it. If you have the power to make these decisions, you should have the power to take responsibility for them. And yeah, that's pretty much it about me. So toodles, and like this video.